Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone has joined. So I think we're just 1 minute over 10, so I think we're good to go. If I'm not mistaken, everyone can see my first slide of my presentation, so I'm just going to kick off. So as I said, welcome everyone to this joint webinar between Maltego and Data Expert. So we are here today to talk about the organization plan for Maltego and how you can combat the spread of fake news. So the content of today will be about an introduction of who Data Expert is and who Maltego are, and also about the speakers of today. Then we will give an introduction of the organization plan and the use case and demo. And as you might have seen, this webinar is being recorded and you can ask questions via the chat. I will be the moderator of today, so I will keep an eye on the chat as well. At the end of the webinar, we will share an evaluation link, and we would kindly like to ask you if you can fill out the form to let us know what you thought of the webinar, and also maybe give us some advice or input on how we can improve our next webinar or any subjects that you would like us to handle. Well, at the end of the session, there is room for Q&A, but please feel free to ask any questions during the presentation and demonstration. So I will start off with introducing myself and then let Nitish and Jacques introduce themselves as well. So my name is Helmi van den Brink. I'm a consultant at the analytical department within Data Expert. I've been with the company for 8 years. I know a lot about the analytical side of investigations. So I know a lot about how you can analyze data that you have gathered and how you can visualize that as well. And I'm also an expert on the OSINT side. As mentioned, I will be the moderator. I will give the introduction presentation and then hand over to Nitish and Jacques. So Nitish, can you introduce yourself as well, please?
Thanks so much, Helmi. Hi, hello everyone. Like it says, my name is Nitish. I work as a subject matter expert with Maltego. What that means is I conduct a lot of investigations with our clients and also help build investigation pathways using the Maltego platform. My background's all over the place in computer science, law, policy, but at heart, I'm an investigator with I'd like to say a deep understanding of elections-related disinformation, information operations, child sexual abuse, and non-consensual nudity over the last decade or so. Yeah, that's me. I'll pass it on to Jacques now.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Nitish and Helmi. My name is Jacques Zimmerman. I'm with the company formerly known as PublicSonar for almost 5 years now. And since last year, PublicSonar was acquired by Maltego, of course. And in that role, I'm responsible for accounts with a focus on law enforcement agencies. So I talk a lot to experts dealing with online real-time intelligence, but also public safety and public order matters where they use our platform for. I will be doing the second part of the presentation, but the main part will be Nitish. Yeah, so that's it for me.
All right, thanks. So let's move on to an introduction of Data Expert for the ones who are not familiar with us. So Data Expert is supporting our customers in crime investigations and data security. So we provide the right type of technology and expertise in different areas. And in this way, we would like to make a contribution to a safer society. And we have actually been doing that for the past 35 years. So this year we have our 35th anniversary, actually. So the fields of expertise where we supply our expertise in are digital forensics, analytics, cybersecurity, OSINT, and crypto. And we don't only supply the solutions, but we also train and support and provide consultancy to the users. Our headquarters is based in the Netherlands, but we also have an office in Denmark and in Sweden. And with all of these offices, we provide the solutions and our services to the Benelux, Scandinavia, and to the Caribbean. Now, let's move on to Maltego as well, for the ones who are not familiar with Maltego yet. Maltego is based in Munich. They have their headquarters there, and they supply their OSINT solutions to customers in over 120 different countries globally. The company was previously known as Paterva, but in 2017, the name has changed to Maltego. And they have been around for over 10 years, and they have helped support over 1 million investigations. And also in this way, Maltego is contributing to a safer society, and that goes hand in hand with the motto of Data Expert. So with Maltego, OSINT investigations are made easy. So based on their powerful graphical link analysis solution of Maltego, you can create insights in different OSINT investigations. So all of these different types of investigations, like social media, person of interest, crypto, and others, they can be worked on using Maltego. And besides that, it's now also possible to do monitoring investigations by using the monitoring module in Maltego. And of course, I will talk about that a little bit more later on. And as Jacques mentioned, he will provide a demonstration of it. Now, let's also give an introduction of the Maltego Organization Plan. This is also known as the all-in-one platform. As you might remember, last year, Maltego has done a lot to change their modules and how it's built up. And that's why I want to give you an overview of what you can expect when you are going to work with Organization Plan. So the Organization Plan contains 4 modules. These are Monitor, Search, Graph, and Evidence. And Organization Plan is meant for teams starting at 5 users. So each user from the beginning has access to 50,000 credits per month. But it's actually also possible to share these number of credits over the number of users. So you have a big pool of 250,000 credits for 5 users, but you can decide if you have the admin rights, which user might have access to more credits. Maltego Monitor uses a different type of crediting system. And Jacques can tell you a little bit more about that later on as well. Well, next to getting access to these 4 modules, users also get access to the Academy page. Here they can follow online courses and find all relevant information regarding the use of the platform. Now, I want to zoom in a little bit more about the different modules, starting off with Maltego Search. Maltego Search was previously known as OSINT Profiler, and it gives junior analysts and also non-technical users access to all relevant publicly available data. So for now, with Maltego Search, the searches are run through 5 of Maltego's data providers, and they are DarkSide, which is District 4 for breach data. You have OSINT Industries, APAils, and eSpy, which are more for social media, and WhoisXML, which is for DNS data. So it really has been designed so that quick searches can be conducted, well, especially by non-technical users. And for example, non-technical users can be first-line investigators. And it also helps to lift off some pressure on OSINT specialists. Well, Maltego Search can be accessed via an internet browser. So there's no need to install any software on the computer. And the interface is really simple because there's only one search bar, which really it looks like how you would normally do a Google search. And you can search on 6 different entity types. And these are email address, phone number, alias, name, password, and domain. And the results will show up in a structured way. And you can sift through all of these results and bookmark any relevant information. Well, based on these bookmarks, it's also possible to create a report, and you can pivot through the information. So for example, you've done a search on an email address, you find a name or an alias or a phone number based on the first search you've done. you can pivot through the information and search, do a new search based on a phone number, for example. Well, it's also possible to create a Maltego graph with all of the information and export that to the Maltego graph client for deeper analysis. Now let's move on to Maltego graph. Maltego graph is used, as I mentioned, for deeper analysis in OSINT investigations. It is a flexible solution, so you can use it for different types of OSINT investigations. And with Graph, you as a user, you have access to a large variety of data providers. And in Maltego terms, they are known as transforms. So it allows you to do a deep and complex OSINT investigation. And it gives you access to 1 billion online identities, also over 200 social media platforms, 200 million corporate records, and 1 terabyte of breach data. So with the help of these visualization capabilities, you as a user, you also have the ability to analyze the results in a very easy way and create a visual overview of the data. And especially the part where you have a visual overview of the data, it can really give you insight in well, the information that you're looking at. So besides search and graph, users also get access to evidence. This is a company that Maltego has acquired recently as well. It is previously known as Freezing Data. And this company has a solution called Social Network Harvester, and the solution is called Titan. So with this solution, you have access to Titan, and this is really meant for detecting patterns and also secure social media evidence from multiple platforms. And actually, based on the wishes of the user, you can choose from 3 different packages that are listed here. But finally, Maltego also acquired a Dutch company that is called PublicSonar. And this is now known as Maltego Monitor. And with Monitor, users can access and also monitor, of course, real-time public available data and also activities across multiple social media platforms. And besides social media platforms, they also have access to news sites and live blogs. And this allows you to monitor threats before they escalate. So it's a very powerful solution as well. This is what I wanted to give you as an introduction. First, I wanted to take a look at the chat to see if there are any questions that have come in. I will load that. I don't see any questions that have come in, so perfectly. So I don't want to steal too much of Nitish's and Jacques' time. So Nitish, I want to give the floor to you.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Helmi. I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen also without wasting a lot of time. Let me know when you can see it.
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect. All right. So the context that we are looking at today is disinformation, misinformation, disinformation, influence operations, information operations. There are several names that this whole thing is referred to. Now, no disinformation is harmless. Of course, misinformation can be harmless. You don't know something, you just, missay something, sure, misconstrued, it's harmless. But most disinformation often happens in a given context. It happens for a reason, and it is often accompanied by several things. The most recent one, you can look at the doppelganger network or campaign that was unearthed, has been unearthed since 2022 all the way until late last year. Most recently as a Russia disinformation campaign targeting legitimate news outlets, mimicking those websites of legitimate news outlets, and also building newer seemingly real news outlets that are propagating propaganda at times, but then also at times you will see content that is outright false and misleading. But what are these other things? So you'll see there's 3 frames that I'm talking about. The event, the vectors of abuse, and tactics. So when you look at events, often around elections or situations of natural disasters, military conflict, economic crisis, or events. There are these things that happen as foreign interference at times, sometimes interference from, say, adverse actors within your own country, or it can be many other things. What happens as part of those? There are influence operations, so in the form of these fake websites that you will see in tactics, or disinformation campaigns that are amplifying certain false narratives. For elections, for example, Germany is going to undergo an election recently, and we're seeing a lot of propaganda come in already. So stuff like that. Espionage, cyber attacks, there's attacks on critical infrastructure. If you keep breaking it down from what is happening to what are the vectors of abuse down to the tactics, once you figured out the tactics, it becomes easier to investigate. So all of this story I just set up for us to be able to understand as an investigator what we need to do. We need to look at vectors of abuse, but what we really need to understand are the tactics. What are the individual things that each of the threat actors, each of the adversaries are taking, right? Once you have that mapped out, you take those tactics and you deploy those tactics to investigate and go to response levers. Why? Because you need actionable intelligence. If you want to attribute this particular attack to this group or this individual, you need to do your investigations. You want to unearth that network, you need to get rid of the network, let people in your country know, whoever you're working with, let them know that this is a problematic situation. Say you want to have economic sanctions against a country, then you need to attribute it to somebody. You need to understand the scale of influence. Is it just one particular social media handle, or is it a network of 50 different websites? Because that is going to be important. What do you do from that starting point of identifying the tactic is very important. And of course, OSINT can provide a lot of these answers. And there can be several entry points to start your investigation. It can be websites, so propaganda websites, or otherwise, it could be one social media post, a WhatsApp message. It could be one social media account that you find problematic, or it could be an entire network of social media accounts. It could be images, videos, other multimedia, and of course discussion on public or dark forums. Now, erstwhile Maltego from about a year ago only helped you with a bunch of these, a majority, but still a bunch. The offering now allows you to take a holistic approach to start from any end in the investigation. Now, when I say any end, it could mean you want to live monitor a group of social media accounts, or there are specific phrases, the specific terms that you want to keep listening for, you can do that. On the public forums, sure. In the dark web type of forums, also yes. In sort of deep Telegram channels, also yes. So that capability is net new. We'll talk about that also in a little bit. And the second leg of the investigation is where it's more reactive. You take a website, you go down to its infrastructure, find out who are the people behind it, find out who are the agencies behind it, so on and so forth. And the other end, where we will go deeper down into social media accounts, or Telegram channels, Instagram pages, Facebook profiles, etc. Drill down into who are the people who are part of this disinformation network, or otherwise, depending on whatever your investigation use case is, right? So the platform now kind of allows you to solve for all of these. What I will zoom in on today is going to be, probably you've heard about this, probably you might have also seen another webinar that we've done in the past around geopolitics, but the focus is going to be same. It's a different line of investigation altogether. Again, I'm going to assume that a lot of you might not have seen this, so I'm just going to start with one example of a domain, which is pravda-de.com. What is this domain? I'll just quickly go over to my browser here to kind of look at that also. This is one website, which is, again, I think this one is Pravda in the Netherlands, and you'll see all sorts of news which can be construed as either misleading, false, propaganda from Russia against the West. So, Europe is bad, the US is bad, US should stop supporting EU, US should stop supporting Ukraine, all that kind of narrative in here, very much contextually relevant to the country that this is targeting. Germany, Netherlands, and you'll be surprised to see the entire network that there is. So to start us off, there are several things that you can do. You can just go to the domain, and I'm assuming a bunch of you already know what Maltego Graph is. So now I am in the environment of Maltego Graph, where I will not take you to. It's not going to be like a pure product demo, because I want to also go into the details of what the use case is, what the problem is that we're trying to solve. So just touch upon some of the features and some of the things that you can do. I just copy pasted the name of the domain here, and you will see it being detected as a domain type of an entity. Now, a domain type of a data point means there are several data sources that I can use to be able to fetch more data, enrich this data point. What we've come up with more recently is something called Maltego Data, which makes sure that you don't have to buy additional sources in order to be able to conduct your investigations. You you have the subscription to the organization plan in this case, and you will get access to all of the data partners that are embedded in that bundle. So for your cyber threat intel investigations, for your person of interest investigations, crypto, dark web, corporate investigations, you don't need different data sources. So just assuming that this is a start point for me, I could do a very simple footprint for this domain, right? Footprint will mean that I'm going to see what are the DNS records for this particular domain, all the MX records, NS records, all the IP addresses that things resolve into, what is the autonomous system numbers, and who are the owners of potentially the servers where these websites are hosted. In this case, it's going to be this domain, and we look at a few IP addresses of interest. We've of course found out that the website itself is likely hosted here because of this DNS record 172.64.80.1. If we go abstracting this further, we'll reach to Cloudflare, which is just again a service provider which you can reach out to, but service providers often will not just action based on disinformation. So you can of course find out from this IP address also which are the other places that in the past there have been historical resolutions to. So if I just take this IP address, I can use one of our providers called DNSDB, which again is part of our CTI data pass, as you can see. And I'll ask you to give me all the historical records for wherever this IP address has resolved into a DNS record. And you will see I'm getting about 256 results here. This is because I've set my uh, limit of results to 256, which means there will be many more results as well. And these are all domains that you will see are shared on the same IP, likely indicating if you go into these domains, we don't have the time to do it. These aren't all really problematic, which might indicate that this is actually shared hosting. So you're not really going to be able to map this entire network out, right? Uh, so some very quick things that you can do, of course. But when you have a domain, with Maltego, there are a lot of other things you can do. So all the investigators in here today in this webinar, I know that a bunch of law enforcement investigators, for example, tend to shy away from say, okay, we don't want to go into cyber threat intel type investigations. We don't want to look at technical infrastructure. Sometimes we are only interested in a bunch of things. Let me tell you, if you broaden your scope of search, there are a lot of interesting things that can be found. So just to kind of give you an example of what that looks like, I will quickly go back to my deck here. So just from a website, the kind of potential OSINT that you can get is, of course, very, very basic infrastructure lookup. You can find shared websites. You can check breaches for a domain, whether this domain was ever breached. You might be able to find email addresses and the likes. Of course, you can look at Wayback Machine and see what a website looked like in the past. You can get a list of other URLs. You can do passive DNS lookups. You can also do regular expression searches, which is very important. Again, all of this is stuff that you can do with Maltego Graph today. You can also investigate the tech stack, look at what are the technologies that they are using. You can analyze backlinks. And at the very end, you can also do a content analysis for what all is on that website, what content is in there, and is that leading us somewhere. So with all of that as the backdrop, I'll quickly run you through the investigation. I will not run each of the queries, the transforms. So I'm not going to go every time. Right click on something, find the right query, and then show you the results. I will rather take the approach of showing you the first few and then taking you through the already generated graphs that I have for you. Yeah. So what I did here was quickly try to find out fuzzy matches for the domain pravda-de.com, meaning give me all the domains that follow this syntax of pravda-xx.com, and you will see the syntactical similarities are here. Pravda BG, CF, CY, CZ, DE. These are all domains that are specific to geographies in different languages, catering niche curated content for that particular country in that particular language. So these are all part of that entire network. So now, interestingly, just starting from this domain, I have gone to all about 34 other domains that may be part of this. So quickly, I want to see how many of these are actually active to begin with. So I will quickly convert these domains to websites, and whenever you'll see that there is a favicon in here, has been directly fetched from the website, meaning these are all active websites as of today. Some of these might not have active favicons, might indicate that, say they're not active today. However, that's sort of one of the ways we can populate other domains in the network. So what we've done is gone from the one domain to an entire network of all these other websites. But again, what am I going from? I haven't spoken about that yet. Do I want to figure out who the people are behind this? Do I want to see what kind of stuff they are talking about? I'm flying in blind right now, just to give you an idea of all the things possible. Not talking about the objective of my investigation in this case. So we did that. Very quickly, what we can also do is take these domains and look at when they were registered to kind of understand if there are any patterns of registration of domains. So you'll see quickly from here, what I've done is from the domain, gone on to their registration record to the date that they were registered. And you see clear tranches of registration of domains. The more recent ones in March 2024, also something in March 2024, about 6 days apart. And then before that, also say 2 days apart, and then Pravda.de, which is one of the platforms going back to 2023. So you see that the first one in this entire chain, this is actually a false positive, but the first one in this entire chain is pravda-ru.com, and was registered for the first time in Feb of 2024. So starting 29th of Feb 2024, all the way for a month, they registered these domains continuously. And you can find out your domain zero, your start point, the first domain in this network that was registered, which is here. But does this tell you the entire story? Luckily, that's not the case. It's even more complicated than that. Now, I've mapped this entire thing out. I found out, okay, this is this entire domain set which follows the nomenclature of pravda-something.com, which is the name of the country code, language code, etc. However, another interesting thing stands out. If you look at all these websites, they share a very generic, similar favicon, which is just plain green. I don't know whatever color that is, just a plain green favicon. So what I did was then take the favicon. I took a MD5 hash of this favicon, and I said, again, I'm going to use one of our sources called VirusTotal to fetch results for URLs. So you'll see, give me entities that are URLs where the MD5 of the favicon is what is mentioned in there. So I'm going to do a quick search with VirusTotal, and I will be able to, let's give that a second, or maybe I have it populated already. Yeah, okay, I have this result populated already. So from the hash, we can go to all of the URLs that uniquely share that particular favicon, which is this particular favicon. Now you will see, in addition to all your Pravdas, which is pravda-es.com, HU, all of these are domains of the Pravda-something nomenclature. You will see newer domains come up. The domains of the type -news.ru. Now, -news.ru is a whole new set. You can do the same thing to find out fuzzy matches for -news.ru, and you will see these are all names of cities in Ukraine. And this is very targeted news for, say, Russia supporters in those parts of Ukraine to kind of, galvanize support, to kind of propagate and influence and all of that. And you will see this entire network of news.ru show up. So if you're a disinformation researcher or you worked on disinformation in the past, starting 2022, you know that news.ru is a known Russia disinformation campaign. And how does that accentuate? It's very interesting. Uh, just the history for registration of these domains, you will see, and this always blows my mind. This is a report, I believe, from one of the agencies in France. You will see how these domain registration patterns emerge. As Russia's invasion starts in 2022, you will see domains for the eastern part of Ukraine start getting registered first in the first tranche. And when Russia has moved further eastward, you will see for the western cities, for them, the domain registration start happening later in December 2022. It's a very clear pattern of how your real world, your actual physical conflict is following the path, is kind of giving you an indication of the path of where Russia is headed. So just kind of think about it. If you were an investigator and you figured out that the same people are now registering, I don't know, domains in, say, eastern part of Poland or some parts of Belarus, you kind of can get a preemptive hint for where the conflict may be headed next. Where are forces moving? Where do they want to galvanize people? Where do they want to radicalize people? Or where do they want to spread propaganda? So it's a very interesting connection between the geopolitical situation of the world with your investigative findings, right? And again, this just always blows my mind. So if you take all the domains and look at the domain historical registration records for all the domains, you will see the -news.ru domains being registered first, and then there are news dash domains also showing up somewhere in 2022, and then you keep going forward, you will see these domains for Pravda-DE that come in very late in 2024. So this is an entire disinformation network spanning 2022 until 2024. And we thought this was it. In about September 2024, I think the US agencies also had this whole memo go out, and like there's this doppelganger information operation that is going on. So please block all -news.ru or Pravda dash some type of domains and websites from your searches, from just from national registers and whatnots. However, it's surprising that it continues today with similar signature, but a different domain set. So what I will do now is build on these findings to find out what is happening right now, to kind of chase these threat actors, right? But before I do that, I also want to quickly highlight these are more infrastructure lookups, but there are other possibilities, right? So from these domains, what I did was look at the historical records for registration for these domains, because a lot many times there will be some leak points. If there are these many domains that are registered, there are going to be leak points. So just by way of an example, if I say I'm going to pick up all the domains from here, quickly move them over to a new graph like so. So there's about 39 domains from the Pravda-DE network. And if we go here, these other domains, actually better to select these. I'm going to move them here. We've got about 82 total domains. So this is in a span, literally, if you were also investigating live, literally in a span of, I wouldn't say more than half an hour, you would have figured out, starting from one domain, you found 82 other places where these people have the same information op going on. Now, just to kind of give you an example, you can take any of these. So I don't know, I actually don't know if most of these are live, but say you can take any of these domains. Oops. In here, and you will see this is Pravda, and this is the -news.ru domain. There are visual similarities in these two websites, but for an investigator, it is going to take a lot of time to be able to map these out. Which kind of graph is able to do that for you almost instantly? You've got about 82 domains. Let's quickly look at all the historical domain registration records, which is a very easy thing. No, don't just give me current registration records, give me historical registration records for these domains. So if there are emails that were used in the past, to register these domains might indicate who the people might be, because at this point in time, if you went looking at most of these domains, it is going to take you to abuse at reg.ru, which is just a generic email address for reporting abuse to the ru domains, meaning that is where the registrar is. And sure, that's not going to get us anything. Just quickly pause this just to show you what are all the results that you see. However, now that you found all these results, what I can do is do a quick find for whether there is a Gmail address in here somewhere. And you see feed-news.com, I believe that may be a false positive, but, and you've got a mail.ru here, you've got Gmail accounts here, possibly other Gmail accounts as well, but say you focus in on one of the Gmail accounts. Now you found an account of interest because this is a valid leak point. Valid leak point for this individual. Of course, if you go to the domain, you might still be able to see if this, yeah, sure, this checks out. This is actually for one of the cities. In Ukraine, this domain was registered by this individual. Now I can do reverse pivots. I can say, give me all the domains that this person has registered in the past. If I want to say, do a quick verification of this, whether this checks out. And sure, there are some Russia domains, some Ukraine domains, and of course, the news.ru domain, which is also very interesting. Now your investigation can pivot in any direction, which is the power of graph. You want to go into looking at domains, go back. I just showed you the whole thing. You can do an infra lookup. You can find out favicon matches. You can look at historical network footprint. You can do all of that stuff. Or you can take this particular email and go the route of, say, find me who this person is. What is their business? What do they do? So on and so forth. So I just take that email address and use our providers like OSINT Industries, EPOS, breach data from DarkSide, for example, to de-anonymize. And you'll see quickly a profile for Alexander Ivan Shtov, in this case, build up, who lives in Kyiv. If you go further down investigating them, you will find out that you'll also find their VK profile here, profile pictures, what they do in their profile picture. You'll figure out their ties with Russia and the business that they do in Ukraine, and a bunch of other domains that they've registered. So you can do a deep dive person of interest investigation, find out, and this is very much valid, right? Because sometimes assume you are in the Netherlands and you are fighting a disinformation IO operation, FIMI attack from another country, and the actors, the adversaries are actually in your country. And sometimes leak points like these will help prosecution, will help find these individuals. And if I were to able to go and talk to Alexander Ivanchov, I will be able to figure out, hey, what was the modus operandi that you used, or who reached out to you for setting up this domain, if you are the person behind it, so on and so forth. So there are many routes that you can, of course, obviously take. And as a law enforcement agency, you can do a lot more. Yeah. Now, that's one leg of the investigation. This is pretty much, this was done in 2024. I looked at all of this in 2024, but I said, when we started talking about this webinar, and I said, is it still happening? Is this still active? Because the US reported on it, France reported on it heavily. A lot of the agencies reported on it. I'm assuming it's gone, it's vanished, and this particular network is not active anymore. But to my surprise, that's not the case. Um, just a favicon search actually from earlier gave me this new domain. Now I was assuming, okay, news-pravda may be an okay type of a domain, right? Not too problematic. But if I go to news-pravda.com, I see the same thing. So pravda-nl, pravda-de.com, news.ru, the other ones, the newest one, news-pravda.com. All of these follow the same domain signature. The theme in here is the same. The content, you see, they are posting content by the minute. Just look at how interesting this is, as recent as a couple minutes ago. So this is content that they're streaming live, and there's just a lot. There's a lot to deal with. It's unclear what is happening. But this much is clear, that this information op is not closing. They are trying to build domains on the same infrastructure, similar infrastructure. Maybe their IP addresses are different. So if you were just following the IP addresses, maybe you're not getting anywhere. But if you started following, say, the favicon, which I did in this case, I see that the same favicon shows up, and now I have a new network to investigate. So I'm going to build on this. And the same thing, look at what is the methodology here. Earlier, what they did was created different domains, pravda-de, pravda-nl. Now what they've done is hosting subdomains. So what they do is news-pravda.com, and now their scope has gone wider. They're saying taiwan.news-pravda.com. So they are not just limited to Europe now. They're going beyond. Of course, there's still a heavy Europe focus because of the conflict, because of where they want to influence people. But there's also a nexus forming in Japan, for example, or in Australia, for example. They are hosting propaganda about the war, about the conflict, catered to an Australian audience as well. It's very interesting. I'm also able to find out whether there are stuff like Google tags. So just analytics tags, whether there are similar tags shared on this website that may be on other websites as well. And then there is a very beautiful connection between news-pravda.com and pravda-en.com. From an evidentiary point of view, without any dispute, undisputedly connecting these two websites, because they share a tag between them, a Google tag between them, meaning the webmaster for both these domains is actually the same. So what we've done now, gone from the 82 domains that we identified in 2024 to today, where we found a lot more. So as you will see, I did the same thing, took the fuzzy match, took the favicon, and took the hash of the favicon, and we've got a whole list of additional websites to for us to start investigating. And now, of course, I found all these others. I'm not going into the details of everything because that's just a lot of overhead. But just to give you the idea of the investigation possibilities, I also looked at the infrastructure, and a different IP address, albeit similar, shows up. It's not the same IP address, albeit similar. It does show up. But what do we do with it? We know if you're trying to fight disinformation, what you're likely going to go for is trying to get this blocked, or let users in your country know, let law enforcement superiors know, or let your ministries know that, hey, this is going on. Let's do something about it. But there is still no possibility of attribution. You want to be able to live monitor and all of that. So we will now pivot into that. This is something that not arguably not a lot of tools support. And again, I mean, I say this as not an employee of Maltego, of course. I mean, can't take that bias out of my mind. But not a lot of tools support this. An actual content analysis at scale, which is extremely powerful. So the next graph that I'm going to show you is going to look a little complicated, but please try to bear with me. Yeah. I'm sorry for all of the hodgepodge in there. What's basically going on is, and I can't run this right now because it took about 20 minutes for all of this process to finish. Yeah. Just give you an idea of what happened. I started with all of uh, the domains that we found, and I said, resolve all these domains into the websites, right? Now, resolving into the websites, meaning I've got something like this. So this is for czechia.news-pravda.com. Now that I have a website, without going outside of the ecosystem of Graph, what I can do is give me all of the external links that you found on this website. Give me any email addresses that you found on this website. So that's already taking it up a big notch. I'm doing content analysis for what is found on this website, but I can take this even a notch higher. If I consider this particular website, at this point it's a website, but say if I said the specific URL, which is their homepage, if I consider that as my start point, just going to paste the URL in here. What I can do is run regular expression searches. For those unfamiliar with regular expression searches, you are able to, with the help of regular expression searches, find matching text, for example. Are there any phone numbers? So a regular expression will do stuff like, give me phone numbers that are found on this web page. Or if you've got, you can build your own custom regular expression. So if you've got a transform or a query here that says there's a custom regular expression that you can specify, and you can build custom regular expressions. You're not an expert, no need. There's AI LLMs that are out there to help you do it. Just type in what do you want a regular expression for. Write me a regular expression to find any .ru email addresses, or write me a regular expression to find any +380 Ukrainian phone numbers. You can just do that, and there's a regular expression, and it will extract all of that information for you. Now, on the side, what has happened is it gave me what are all the link outs. So these are all the link outs from czechia-news.pravda.com. So you'll see how this whole mesh builds on its own. Interesting, but not surprising. NATO-news-pravda.com. We know like the whole there's this attack on NATO as well going on as part of the whole conflict. There's other domains that aren't the same type, but somehow traffic is being directed to these others as well. Now up to you, you go in, see why the traffic is being diverted and all of that. But what I did, I want to understand, I want to go to the next level. I want to see where does disinformation start. Arguably, a lot of this is starting not on these websites, but on platforms like Telegram, but on platforms like VK, for example. So I want to go deeper into these. So what I did was the same content analysis, and I'm going to quickly go back into it, the large graph. What I did was I selected all the websites and ran one query to extract all the link outs. So doing a backlink analysis, sort of a backlink analysis, not exactly a backlink analysis, to find out where is traffic being diverted. And I see a lot of results. It looks complicated, but really is not. I'm going to quickly just select only my websites, and I will immediately see where most of the traffic is being diverted. So for somehow, a lot of this traffic is being diverted to the French portal, for the Bosnia portal, for Croatia, all of that. But in all of this, there is one very interesting result, which is t.me, meaning Telegram. So once I will click on this, and you will see in my detail view here, which I will just bring up, actually close this. There are about 58 links into t.me, meaning these are all URL link ins into Telegram channels. These are all Telegram channels where this disinformation actually starts. Or there's a lot of propaganda. There is stuff that they can't post on websites. There is stuff that can't go on social media platforms, but it can live on a Telegram. Dismembered bodies is fine on Telegram. People bomb blasts and people being killed, it's fine on Telegram. Like it's not really moderated or taken down. So that is where your gold mine for content is. And this is where the segue also happens from graph to our platform. Right? There's a clear route. You can take these, say, take any of the URLs in here, Pravda. Oops, sorry. Go back, take any of these, and you can also still investigate in graph because you've got the capability to get a channel, get all the messages of the channel, do that investigation in graph. But now that I've narrowed down that these are the 50 channels that I'm interested in, I can go for a much more nuanced solution. First, I will talk about what is the possibility with Maltego Evidence, which is not the route that I took because I want to do live monitoring with some additional capabilities of filtering, with some additional capabilities of keyword monitoring, which we will look at monitor in a bit. But there's also the capability to go into Telegram channels, for example, on Maltego Evidence. Now, this is
Nitesh?
outside. Sorry.
I have a question in the chat. Someone asked, will obfuscated email addresses also be found with this tool?
Will obfuscated emails be found?
Email addresses.
What would you mean by obfuscated emails, if that is possible for the person who's asked this question? So if you're assuming like hidden email addresses, somehow like obfuscated by way of the service provider, for example, if say your
Yeah, I guess
domain.
it's mean hidden, but Ari, you're the one who asked the question. Can you please elaborate? Let's see if he types.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I can get to that if the answer, yeah, no worries. So yeah, just to kind of complete that train of thought, you can take all of the identified Telegram channels from in here and head over to Maltego Evidence, which is going to be, for me, it's in my browser. It's also a dedicated application. Now, what I'm going to do is just copy one of the Telegram URLs that have been found for this channel. Say, just going to copy this. I'm going to bring this over to Maltego Evidence, paste it here, and say, with the help of a sock puppet account that I have connected into Maltego Evidence, I'm going to start capturing all of the data from this Telegram channel, and I have the information. So it gives me the option of, okay, what do you want? Do you want to save all the chats, the channel group info? Do you want to save the locations, save if there are comments that are made, reactions, download all the stuff in there, save the media, save all the visible members? Do you want to do all of that? Select whatever you want and just set up a task. Now what's going to happen is the system is going to make live crawls to go to Telegram, log in into your account. If you're part of the channel already, it is going to start pulling data from that channel. What does that look like? Just to kind of give you an example, you will start seeing, this is of course data gathered over a while, so just take it with a pinch of salt. It doesn't happen instantly. It takes a while to be able to populate all of this data. Basically, everything that is posted, media files, text messages in the Telegram channels, all of it is stored. Again, this is stored locally on your machines, so is also available as evidence, like the name says. And it's got certain network object IDs that you'll see here, which are sort of system IDs to kind of make sure that this data is not manipulated. And since it's a copy, even if stuff gets deleted from your channel, it's going to live here, and you're able to see, browse through everything. You're going to be able to see details for the timestamp, when was this message posted, where was this posted, and in your one single case, you can actually have 20 channels also if you wanted. Of course, arguably you need more number of sock puppet accounts to be able to do that kind of evidence collection, but the capabilities in there exist. And just to kind of round that off, you have support for platforms like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, OK, Telegram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, and VK. So it's pretty extensive, and it helps you gather a lot of data in a staggering amount of detail. And once you've gathered all this data, if say you also have access to the members of the group, the actual accounts of the members of the group, you're also able to see in the form of a graph within evidence, see how users are connected with each other. If there's the same user that is part of 20 different channels, so you can do that kind of deep dive analysis as well. That's Maltego Evidence. Of course, I won't be able to cover everything that Maltego Evidence offers, but it has got the capabilities to do scientific social media analysis as well. If on your team you've got those capabilities, that is also a possibility. However, what I will quickly segue into and then hand it over to Jacques to talk a little more about is what I actually did in this case, right? So what I said was, okay, let me pick up some of these channels, and now let me start live monitoring them. So we head over to our Maltego Monitor solution, where I set up a case, which is called Pravda, where I added these accounts to monitoring. So I just added like 3 particular channels that I started, just added them into my case. What are all the components, how all of this works? Jacques is going to go into much more detail later on, but I'll just give you an idea of what is happening here. So what I did was, put this in the case, and now every message from that channel, the selected channels, will stream into my monitor. Will stream into my monitor, and there's noise. There's 2,000 messages that have been gathered, and there's messages, as you can see, as early as say 2 hours ago, and the visuals, everything that is in there. Now I got the capability to filter noise out. I only want to see wherever there is a missile in the text or in the image of the post that show up. So you'll see I set up a filter called missile, and now it's showing me only results where there are missiles. This is live monitoring of a whole different level, where you can look at videos, images, and again, Jacques is going to talk about that, so I will not go into a lot of detail. But now what I did, I segued from a graph, which was your reactive investigation tool, proactive in a way, but found places of relevance where I should be monitoring, where I should be listening for, okay, what is this threat actor going to talk about next? How I'm going to find that out? I will go to the source, most likely to a Telegram where they're starting this conversation. I just drop the Telegram channel in there, connect my Sock Puppet account, and I have a live stream of messages coming in that I can manage at scale. There are a lot of other capabilities in here, which I will not talk about again. I will let Jacques do that. So I think this will be my segue point to hand over to Jacques to talk about Monitor in the similar context, not in the case of this particular case, in a similar context. But if there's any questions for me, probably I can be here for a minute and answer those. Otherwise, I will just quickly pass it over to Jacques.
Yes, it is. I got some additional information about the obfuscation. Yeah, sorry, the word is really difficult to pronounce.
Yeah.
Obfuscating email addresses. So as a webmaster, you can hide email addresses with
Right.
obfuscation tools. And I guess it makes it more difficult for web crawlers to identify those email addresses. Can you still find them using Maltego?
No, absolutely. That's a great question. So just to kind of give you an indication of, so something like this. So if I searched for who registered this domain, my result would have been news-pravda.com at -private.ru. Are you going to be able to find out anything about this email address? No, because what's happening is this has been obfuscated for the reasons of privacy protection that this end user bought. What you can do is say, I take this and I say, do a reverse pivot. Say, give me all the other domains that this particular email address has registered. So if there are other indications, likely not. That's going to be a dead end in those situations, which is what I said. What I did was, I'm going to look at the historical records. I'm going to find out whether this domain was registered by somebody else in the past, because often what happens is very specific domains are registered by people in the past without the idea of privacy, and then they realize, okay, now we need to obfuscate it, so they buy privacy protection. Historical records will give you that information. But short answer, no. If an email address is obfuscated for the reasons of privacy protection that somebody has bought, nobody can really de-anonymize it for you except the internet exchange. At the exchange point, say if they bought privacy from Namecheap, you can go to a Namecheap with a subpoena, with a legally binding order, and ask them for that information. By way of OSINT, that's not possible to get directly. There are other ways. I mean, can I do something like find me breaches of this domain, whether people have email addresses with this particular domain? I can say, try to find out if this domain has been breached. Sorry, in this case, there's no hits for breaches of this particular domain. But if there were, I'm going to be able to find an email address at news-pravda.com. So it's not the webmaster, but it is somebody's email address. So there are other ways to get into the system, directly an obfuscated email address. Unfortunately, that's for the reasons of privacy that we can't go in there. I hope that answers.
Thanks, Atish.
Cool. I will stop sharing now and then over to you, Jacques. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nitish. Yeah, I will do a short overview of Maltego Monitor, but also show you how you can sift through vast amounts of data and finding potential misinformation in there that you can use to feed into evidence or maybe into graph to do further investigations. Nitish showed you that you can things you find with graph, certain identities, certain accounts you can use to monitor in Maltego Monitor, but you can also do it the other way around. So you can use Monitor to identify, to discover new information on a specific topic, and from there on do further investigations with the other capabilities of the Maltego platform. Maybe to give you a bit of context first, Maltego Monitor is mainly focusing on real-time information. So we are working with law enforcement agencies, with public order teams, but also with enterprises that use our tool to monitor for anything that might disrupt their business. And it can be VIP protection, asset protection, etc. But mainly our main client groups are with governmental organizations that use us to discover information, detect threats as they happen or as they surface. What you see in this screen here is a what we call a monitor. And a monitor is a collaboration environment in which you can work together with your team on cases. So you see a lot of cases here already. You can have basically an unlimited amount of cases running based on the topics you are interested in. This is a demo environment. So what you can see are a lot of test cases, but also real cases that we use to do demos, but also monitor because we are interested in what is happening out there. Monitoring in real time on relevant platforms can be really complex. So for people that are maybe familiar with social media monitoring tools, they know that can be really complex if you are interested in complex topics that might need hundreds of keywords, hundreds of other publicly available information, and it can be hard to put that in a really good search, adding filters, etc. First, to give you a bit insights on how it works, how the concept is that we use, I want to show you how you can set up a complex case, a complex search in a really easy way. So I will use the wizard for that. You can create a new case using this button here, and it will take you to a wizard that you can use to build a high quality case. Of course, you can also skip this and start with a blank canvas. But for now, I will choose the area, and I press next. And the first thing I have to do here is to search for the location I want to monitor the area. This is a demo environment, so we already have a lot of areas in there that we've predefined. I will choose a location in Ukraine because that also connects to the case that Nitish presented. This is pulled from the library. And we are not only looking for a geolocation, so for messages posted within the location of Kiev, but also for messages that contain keywords that are in the context of that location. And we do that because only 6 to 8% of people will share their location when they are posting a message. So we need to have another way to finding that location. Of course, you can manage the library yourself. Adding new locations is really easy. We have also tools to help you with that, so you don't have to manually input the geofence and all the names of the towns, streets, main roads, etc. We have a feature for that helps you building your location. In the next step, you can add the things that you are interested in. What you see here are not the keywords that we are looking for, but these are what we call building blocks. And within the building blocks, you have a lot of other keywords as well that will be used to search on that specific topic directly. So also here you don't have to add complex Boolean operators and searches. The platform will help you with that. So the only thing you have to do is to check the things you are interested in. So maybe also violence, violence behavior, something around guns maybe. So do this, and then for this demo, this will be sufficient. So set the name, and I create a case. It hasn't collected a lot of messages for now, but this will show you the concept of how Maltego Monitor works. So what you can do a really broad search, in this case on a location in Kiev. But you can see here the color coding points to the facts why we matched a message with the searches and the filters. So this is blue.
Jacques?
So, yes.
I have one question in the chat.
Yep.
Will the keywords be translated in other languages? I think you're going to touch on that a little bit later, but maybe you can show it already.
I will show that directly. So there are two parts of that. One part is that you might want to search in other languages, and the other part is, and I can show you that right away, is that you might want to translate a message that comes in. So if we look at this message, you can see it's not matching with any filters, and that means that it's not a meaningful message for you. I think I'm not. I don't speak Ukrainian, but I think this is somebody posting about cars. But to be sure, you can translate this this message in line, and you can see here that it's about a car selection in Ukraine. So this is not a relevant message. So that's one part. And maybe this is also a good step to answer the other question, and that is within the library. I can show you how that works. So what we have in the library are three main items. We have location, we have building blocks, and account list. I already touched upon the location, so I will not go into detail for that, but just to give you an example of how it looks is, first of all, we have a geofence. So we look for messages posted within the geofence that has been drawn here, but also we are looking in this case for 512 keywords as one. As said, you don't have to add all these names manually. When you create a new building block, a new location building block, and you draw a geofence, and if you search, the geofence will be drawn for you. We automatically populate street names, areas in the town, main roads, etc. for you, and you can choose whether you want to add them to the building block or not. Then for the part to answer the translation, we have thought about doing a automatic translation, but we decided not to do that for building blocks because translating words can make it to have other meaning in other languages. So we want to leave this with the users to do that, but we support a lot of languages that you can add to a search. So you can say, well, I have English here, but I want to have also German building blocks, and you can search for a topic in multiple languages at the same time. Also for the building blocks, we help you with building your new keywords set for a new topic. So for example, let's say you want to have a building block around firearms. You just start a new building block, give it a name, and then all you have to do is to enter your first keywords, and the platform will suggest other keywords that are in that context. And you can add them, and it's that easy. to build your new building block. The third thing in the library are account lists. Not going to go there also in not too much detail, but with account lists you can group accounts around a specific topic. So I know that Nitish used this account, and in this case there are only Telegram channels added to this account list, but you can imagine that for other topics you can have a lot of accounts in there. So maybe let's do another example. Well, this is this one also not that much Facebook pages and a TikTok account, but you can see that that is the concept, and you can use this to search and to follow all these accounts at once. So now if we are going to look how that works in a real case. So I've created a case around the Ukraine-Russia conflict, and what you can see here is that you can search in a lot of ways. So with this case, I build it up over time, and that's also how you can work when you are monitoring for something. You just start with a simple search, and then you find new information, and you can add that to the case. So what you can see here, you can search for individual terms. So you can just do a free format search. You put in new keywords manually. So you can do that by adding a new search, and it will help you in building that search also, because you can also enter the library from here, and you can select what you want, or you can just enter a keyword yourself. So you can see here that we are also searching. You can also search in other languages and combined, but also in this case, there's a building block that we are searching for, and that is for text-based locations. So we are looking at regions that are important for this conflict. And here is a location building block. This is the account list that Nitish also showed you, etc. And you can build it up, but what you can see here is that in this case, there are, if I count it really quick, almost maybe 7,000 to 8,000 messages, and that is really a lot to go through. So if you want to zoom in into specific topics within your broader search, basically that's going from relevant to meaningful, because if you are, for example, interested in only the things concerning the conflict that also mention the North Korean soldiers that are deployed in the Russian army now, you can just say, well, let me only show the messages that are about that. And then you go from over 8,000 to 278 messages. Can still be a lot, but you can set the time frame in another. You can set a time frame in a limited amount of time to even reduce that amount of messages. But you can also start optimizing your case with adding keywords to limit down the amount of messages. But this amount is pretty an amount that you can handle. Also here we give transparency why a message was matched. So you can see here North Korean, it's a lighter green, or an KA-52 helicopters that is in the main search over here. So that's the combination that you can make. So that is one way of looking at the information, using the broader search, narrow it down using the filters. Now, what you will see, and that's on Telegram, but also in other messages, is that often only images are being posted, and the images can contain a lot of valuable information. So what we made possible is that you can also search for information within the images. And I've created an example here, searching for Russian flag. But what I did, I only want to have images where a Russian flag is used. So I've created this this morning just to prepare for this webinar, And what you can see here is if you select this one, you will see some messages. The word Russian flag isn't in the text, but if we look at the visuals, then you will see that here's a protest and Russian flags are used, and you can see that we found it by clicking on the button labels, and it will see that it's a parade, there were a poor person, it's a protest, and we identified that there's a Russian flag. So even though if information isn't in the message, you can still use words to find that information that is in the image. Also, we can detect text, and it doesn't have to be nicely typed in the image. It's also text that you can find on the banners. So, for example, the word "vive," you find it on this banner. And you can see here this message has been pulled from Telegram, so that also gives you the information that might be interesting for you. Maybe just some more examples on what you can do with image search. Also to give you the tools to quickly identify images that contains violence, weapons, protest, physical attacks, etc. We can all detect these kinds of things. So we can detect objects, text, actions like protest or violent behavior, but also hate symbols, etc. You name it. I've marked some of the messages that might be good to show to you. Some of them I will address later on. But for example, if we take this image here, you can see there is no mentioning of the word weapon or something in the message. But if we look at the description in the categories of the image, what we found, we see that it's violence, there's weapons, graphic violence, etc. But also you can dive a bit deeper in what we actually see on the image, and we see that there's a gun, there's a helmet, somebody is wearing, etc. So really helpful to find relevant information. Of course, here's another one. This is also weapons of violence, labels, and also some text has been detected. And sometimes it's so small that you can't see it with your bare eyes if you look at it, but the OCR feature will find it for you. Now we're here, I will also address, also looking at the time because I want to have some time left for questions. Now, to be on the topic of today, and that is finding misinformation in this case, vast amount of messages, and that can be the step before you do a further analysis on what Natish showed you. And of course, the first thing is using common sense, looking with your eyes and finding information that might be false. And also here, and that is the reason why I selected this. I went over this, and within a second, I could spot that this is a fake video. So most likely the information will also be fake. And you see here that it's a message that Putin's presidential palace was attacked. It was supposedly 30 minutes ago. But you can see here this is a fake message. The same thing goes for this one. You can see by the way it is. This is AI generated, so also a fake message. But this isn't always that clear, and that's why we also have other tools for you to help identifying misinformation. And that can be tricky and really time consuming. So that's why we have introduced our AI assistant. We call it Echo. And with Echo, you can ask questions around the topics you have collected. So it only looks at your own data, the data you have collected, in this case, in this stream. You can also use the filters by going to only civil unrest and do and ask a question about that, but you can also use the entire set that you have in front of you. And what is interesting here is that you can also ask questions around misinformation. Of course, also around other things that are also really, really interesting. For example, you can, without going through all the messages, ask, are there messages that announce a protest will being held in Kiev, for example, and then it will list you the protest, the dates that it's found in the messages. But in this case, you want to look for misinformation. We have added some default prompts for you to use, so you can just click on this, and after this I will show you that you can also add ask other questions. But now the first step is to identify the potential misinformation in messages. It might take a while because it's looking through more than 500 messages at the moment. So it can take maybe 10-20 seconds, but it will give you an overview of information that you can use to do further investigation. And here, there it is already. So this is really time saving. It goes through the information for you, and it presents you with a list of messages that potentially contain misinformation. And what is interesting here, and that's something we always do when we use AI, we give the user the opportunity to verify the information. So what you can do here, you can press the verify response button, and then it will list, I'm not going to do that now, looking at the time, but it will list all the messages, basically the sources where it pulled this information from, and you can go there and check it for yourself. So now we have identified that there are indeed messages that contain misinformation or potentially misinformation. What you can do now is go one step further and maybe say, well, this is interesting enough. I want to create a intelligence report for this, and you can enter that question manually. So what I'm doing here, I enter the question, create an intelligence report with a focus on misinformation. And you can ask that question, and Echo will go to work for you. And the outcome will be a more structured report based upon the messages that might contain misinformation. And it will list you, and it will also, at least I did it the last time, the messages that's contained it, but also structured by topic. So what you can see here is that it says, well, the objective is to identify and analyze messages, and there's a summary, and we have a list dividing it by subtopic. So exaggerated military claims, unverified involvement. This can be really, yeah, first of all, it saves a lot of time, but it can give you also new insights to do further investigation, do a deep dive in what is possible. So there's a conclusion, and you can see that we already help you with some blanks you can fill in, and of course you can copy this and use it as a report. So this is the second step you can take. But if you want to do a deeper dive into the matter, you can ask a follow-up question, and you can say, well, identify accounts that are spreading misinformation. And with this, you can identify maybe persons of interest, maybe the starting point of uncovering a entire network like Nitish showed you. So it can help you not only with identifying misinformation, but also identifying the information that is valid. So that is the other way around. So what you can see here, also a really structured list that you can use to do further investigation. Now, if you find one of these accounts that you can use and you want to do a first quick lookup, of course you can go to search like Helmi explained and T showed in another one. But what you can also do, and I found this, let me see if I can find it again here. Maybe I hope I marked it as important. Yeah, so here it is. So for example, let's say this is also the account we used previously to show you something. But if you want to do a further investigation, you can do a couple of things. You can click on accounts, and then it will browse through. It will search on 150 other platforms to see if that exact alias is also available there. And from here, you can go directly to that other platform to do further investigation, or you can copy it and use it in a new search. So that's one thing. You can see if that person
Jacques?
or yes. Yeah.
We have a couple of minutes left.
Yeah, I'm almost done.
Yeah.
I
Okay. Good.
Yeah. So this is one you can find other accounts, but the other thing that you can do is a quick lookup within this tool, and you can do an identity search. And the identity search, in this case, only looking for the alias. I can search for it, and what you will see here is that this account pops up. You can click on it, and there is not that much information available. But what is interesting here is that you already have 4 email addresses that you can use. We have the username, etc. So this might help you to start the other investigation or a deeper investigation in Graph, for example, or in Evidence. So that was a lot of information, but we still have some minutes left for questions, if there are any, or any closing words from you, Helmi.
Yeah, we do have 2 more questions that I wanted to
Yes.
run by you. It regards Monitor.
Yeah.
So first, there's one about Echo that you showed. Is it a default feature or is it an add-on that you need to purchase separately?
Yeah, it depends a bit on the license, but we are now looking into it if we can make it a default feature of a standard package.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And the other question that we had, are sources like Blue Sky and WhatsApp channels, are they available in Monitor, or will they be made available in the near future?
That's a really good question. We always keep track on new emerging sources, and we look at the sources that can bring value to our clients. So I'm happy to announce that last Tuesday we released WhatsApp in beta. So we are now testing that with a couple of clients, and Blue Sky is on the roadmap.
Okay.
So
good.
that will hopefully be released. I hope in Q1.
Very
source.
nice.
Yeah.
Good. All right. I'm going to take over your screen if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
Let's see. So as far as I saw, there are no other questions being asked. Let me just check the chat real quick. No, I don't see anything coming in. So we just have 1 minute left. Of course, thank you, Jacques. Thank you, Nitish, for your demonstrations. It was very interesting to see. There will be marketing. So my colleague Noor will share a link for the evaluation in the chat, and we would really like it if you're able to just take a couple of minutes of your time just to fill out that form, to let us know what you thought of the webinar and if you have any ideas for any next webinars that we can do. Also showing here the contact information from Data Expert, but also from Maltego. So if you have any questions after this webinar, just feel free to reach out. So thanks everyone for joining, and of course we hope to see you at the next webinar. And thanks Jacques and Nitish.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.